Welcome to the crypto frontier, where knowledge meets fortune. Are you ready to embark on a thrilling journey into the heart of the digital revolution? Buckle up because you're about to dive headfirst into the exciting world of savvy investments in crypto, where innovation meets opportunity and smart choices pave the way to financial freedom. So picture this: a realm where your investments are not limited by borders or bureaucracy, where groundbreaking technologies like blockchain create a transparent and secure playground to your financial ambitions. Here, every decision you make could lead to substantial gains, and every insight you gain could unlock the doors to unimaginable wealth. But of course, it all stems from education. And that's what we're going to talk today about how to actually make savvy investors in the crypto market, right? Money Talks.
Absolutely. So that was your host, Crypto Weekend Queen, and I am the co-host, Money Talks Crypto. Welcome on this happy, lovely Friday. Today we're going to be bringing you a lot of tips and tricks on how to navigate this market, but also while maintaining education first. Um, this is one of the things that everyone has to really focus on, spending more time and investing time into getting educated because as fascinating as the space is, it is very fast and you have to keep updated with everything that's going on in the space.
That's right. That's right. So education is the difference between making savvy investments or the opposite, losing a lot of your wealth. And so again, I think everywhere that every space um, that we niche that people talk about, what is the first thing that everybody talks about? Education. We cannot stress this, enough. And so that education leads you to what? To understanding the technology behind it. In the crypto space is blockchain technology, how cryptocurrencies work, and the different types of cryptocurrencies available. And that there's a lot of places that you can get this. Investing.com is one of them. CoinMarketCap is one of them. And podcast shows like this, and right?
Absolutely. There's so many resources out there that people I think sometimes forget. Because again, like, we all get so busy with our lives and sometimes the simplest thing that is simple for someone, we forget because we get so carried away with our everyday lives. So you guys gotta remember there's public libraries out there, and tons of them will have information about blockchain, and a lot of books. You also have tons of resources like LinkedIn and Twitter, where there's tons of knowledge and information just out there for you to search.
Exactly. And talking about blockchain technology, it is the underpinning that sustains the whole ecosystem. Distributed ledger technology is the general term, right? Without that, we wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things we do. So, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, is more than just making money or crypto or whatever. It's tokenization, non fungible tokens, utility, and more. Right, Money Talks?
Absolutely. One of the things that people don't realize is that there's so much more to blockchain than just payments. Um, Essentially, this technology is going to be revolutionizing everything that we do, from the way medical systems keep your records to the way we vote to the way we conduct real estate contracts. One idea that is starting to be in the works is ownership for real estate is going to come to a point where if you buy a property, and you want to give fractions of that property to people in your life, or your partner, whoever it may be, just how you send fractions of a crypto, or you buy fractions of a stock, you're going to be able to send fractions of that property to someone in your life via the blockchain. And now that's going to represent their ownership via that fractionalized token. So there's so many new exciting things that is going to come from this technology. Same way with how hospitals are keeping in medical records, how we vote. These are all things that I'm really excited for, because I know it's going to dramatically change one, record keeping. This is something that I have personally experienced traveling um, outside of the US, where there's countries that don't have a structure like the US do when it comes to owning property. And there's always dilemmas of who owns that land, and people having issues because that land haven't hasn't been documented properly. So, for decades, families go fighting and fighting over the ownership of a land, and there's no registration within that city, that country, etc. So this is something that blockchain will be fixing, because once it's in the blockchain and once that's documented via these ledgers, that's going to exist forever, and whoever has access to these private ledgers or public ledgers will be able to see that information. And now no one can steal ownership of land or anything else from you.
Exactly. And I like that a lot, Money Talks, because now we got places, companies that are letting you buy crypto buy your real estate with crypto. Think about that. Imagine that you could buy your next house with a cryptocurrency instead of having to deal with all the craziness of loans. So, and I was talking to this with somebody that I know about the difference between taxable events. I know this is a little bit kind of like tax. Who wants to talk about that, right? That how you use your crypto depends if you pay taxes or not. So I said, interesting. If you buy directly try to buy a real estate with cryptocurrency, depending on how you do it, you might have to pay taxes. But if you're sending money from one place to another, I was like, So there's a lot of things a lot of possibilities and utilities that we are going to get because of distributed layer technology. The next thing that might be gone in the next 10 years is title companies, because again, who needs a title company when you can actually have your records on the blockchain on an NFT, right?
Absolutely. And it's something that, with all of these evolving technologies, um, like I'm always thrilled to talk about these things, because to me it's just the possibilities of all of these things are gonna not only make it easier for your everyday person that might not have the resources to education, or just know who to go to learn these things. It's going to be easier for them, because in the future you're not going to need a lawyer to purchase a property. You can just you're going to have your property tokenized and just send that token to whoever's buying it from you. It's going to eliminate so much more hassle when you're trying to conduct certain types of business. Also, with that, you also have professions like lawyers. Like, we have lawyers in our family, and one of them is going to be retiring soon. And she was saying, I am so happy that I'm going to be retiring, because now she's aware that they have AI lawyers the making, and robot lawyers, and all these things that are um, in a way is going to be better for people, because things might move quicker, but at the same time, it's going to change the job market for some of these careers. So I mean, there's just so much education around all of these topics that you have to make sure you keep up to date with it, because again, the speed of these things are moving so much quicker than we ever thought it would. Like we all, for the most part, everyone that is in this space has known about these technologies emerging. But I feel like the speed in which they are emerging was something that none of us thought would happen so quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And that leads us to market researching anything that is distributed ledger technology related. Because again, like you said, there's trends, there's market trends, there's historical data, and the technology behind the cryptocurrencies, it keeps moving to the speed of lightning. And I think you said one time, Money Talks, that the distributed ledger technology is growing faster than the internet, and just that's kind of like I was like, wow, that's a huge statement. And think about this: there's only less than 5% of people in the world of 7 billion, the population of 7 billion in crypto. So 5%, and this is just the beginning of this space, right? Imagine what's going to happen when more people join this space and see the utility and the innovation that we can create using these technologies, right? So market research is ultra important, not only for buying cryptocurrencies, to study market trends. You can go to coinmarketcap.com. It's one place that we look at the cryptocurrencies. You can see when you go to coinmarket.com that the cryptocurrencies are in order from number one, which is Bitcoin, according to market cap, meaning according to um, the total market value of a cryptocurrency circulating supply. So, and of course, Bitcoin is the biggest one. So it's number one. So you can click on Bitcoin and CoinMarketCap, and you're going to see a lot of information. You're going to see the chart. You're going to see the market cap right now is 540.56 billion. The volume is the amount of cryptocurrency that is traded in the last 24 hours, 12.5 billion. Think about this. The crypto market total market cap is $1.09 trillion. Again, we used to have over a year ago $3 trillion. Again, how do I know this stuff? Because of market trends and looking at the information here. And you can find everywhere that they sell a coin in the same area. The chart, the community, the markets, the news, about the analytics. So that's how you can keep with market trends. Monitos, can you talk about how you diversify your investments and spreading risk?
Absolutely. I mean, like a lot of people don't realize that when it comes to cryptocurrencies, there's so many products and services coming out related to this because everybody knows it's a brand new industry. So when you think about this, um, yes, cryptocurrencies is one way to invest, but you got to think that there's so many other things such as gold and silver and copper. Now they're creating these coins that are actually have the design of cryptocurrencies in them. So for people that are still newer to this and are afraid of putting their money in, there's stocks that are related to crypto. For example, a lot of the Bitcoin mining companies are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. You have Coinbase, which is the only crypto exchange globally that is actually traded on the New York Stock Exchange as well. You have, um, you know, uh, you have unicorn companies that are coming out, which are always looking for investors. You have um, aside from the commodities, you also have now properties that are being created to specifically mine Bitcoin. There was this one building that was actually going to have tenants in them, but the actual purpose of the building was also to mine Bitcoin. So think about like just there's so many possibilities because again, this is a brand new space And for the most part, everyone that is focused in it as an investor, as an educator, um, they're coming up with new innovative ways to not only invest in it, but also partake in all of these things. Especially like you mentioned, the population, right? So um, with that 4 or 5% of global people that are invested in crypto, not all of them have the education. Not all of them are a professional in crypto. But when you start looking at the professionals, the percentage is even way less. I believe it's less than 1%. So the people that are actually in it as a professional and as an investor, they're marketing all of these opportunities, not only to invest in it and provide education on it, but also to be part of their professional community. And LinkedIn is a great resource for this. This is something that I feel like LinkedIn is underappreciated, and a lot of companies are now moving towards it because of being mainly focused on the professional side of things versus just the community that tends to have a lot of trolls and a lot of scammers when you look at platforms like X and TikTok.
And actually, another thing that I like about this is that this is a global thing, even though there's 5%, it's global. I had a meeting yesterday with somebody from the United Kingdom about his company, about their company that has to do with custody. And he's like, oh, we might get the IRS to be our client. I'm like, what? I mean, because if you guys didn't know, the IRS seizes crypto and is one of the biggest holders of crypto. And actually, I'll tell you now, IRS crypto holdings, it's a lot. So I think a lot of people don't know how much the government is holding in assets. But they're like selling. A couple of months ago, they sold millions of dollars in um, in Bitcoin. Think about that. I was like, wow. Let's see, I'm trying to find. So imagine that's. What do you think about that, Money Talks?
And that's another topic that I think a lot of people are not aware of, but a lot of governments have been seizing crypto when it comes to certain criminal activity, and they find it. Of course, they seize it. Um, And this didn't really come about up until, I guess more people didn't know of it up until Finland sold all the Bitcoin they had seized to help Ukraine with the war. And it was millions of dollars. So, this is something that, again, it is happening. A lot of governments are seizing it if, they run operations that are criminal related and those criminals had crypto. That's one of the things that they will seize.
By the way, I found it. $5 billion right now. The government is holding $5 billion in cryptocurrencies. The federal government has. That's 207,189 Bitcoin. Now tell them, Money Talks, why that's a lot. 207,189 Bitcoin worth $5 billion. I'm like,
I mean,
wow.
you guys just got to
Damn.
understand that this is a asset that is appreciating in value. So, um, the sky's the limit when it comes to how much is going to be worth in the future. And of course, the more you hold, the more it will appreciate for you.
Tell you a couple of the companies that are using blockchain technology. We're not talking about little companies, guys. We talk about IBM. We talk about Amazon, MasterCard, Nestle, Block, Google, FedEx, Chain Analysis, Walmart, Oracle, JP Morgan, Tencent, Meta, Accenture, Pfizer. I mean, I can keep going. We're talking about more than 100 public companies using blockchain in 2022, and that number is going to grow. That number is going to grow. It's again, most people don't know about it. So if the tech companies and the government is is actually part of it, don't you think that that's important for people to know that you want to capitalize in whatever technology or innovation these institutions are getting in, right?
Absolutely. And this is why people don't realize that, again, the people that are in crypto, from looking at the global population, is very little. And a lot of this information is not known even to the people in the community. So it is very important for people to start looking at these resources that we provide so you can learn more about how these institutions are making these partnerships, because knowing this information is essentially what's going to help you make the right choices and look at that, like diversifying your investments in your portfolio, because now you know how the companies are acting, what they're investing in. Because people don't realize that all of these institutions invest amongst each other, and that's how they help each other grow. If you look at Facebook, PayPal in the past, these companies, even Amazon, when they first launched, they didn't have a lot of supporters, they didn't have a lot of backing. But as they continue to grow, now they invest amongst each other. An article just came out last week that Microsoft investment, I think it was one of the bigger names, didn't actually pay off. So you got to realize they are investing amongst each other. I think it was Facebook, maybe Meta, that they were had invested on, and um, seeing the profits that they thought they would. So you got to understand that these businesses, um, as they continue to grow, they continue to invest amongst each other to help each other grow.
Exactly. So I'm going to move into another topic within um, what we're discussing. Whatever investment we're talking about, being stocks, being crypto, being forex, you always have to have a risk management, methodology. Only invest what you can afford to lose, because cryptocurrencies investments are volatile. Only investment money that you can afford to lose without affecting your financial stability. So you have to have a entry point and an exit point or exit strategy. Um, and I actually, when it comes to risk management of anything, this is stocks or whatever investments that we get in, is to whatever money we put, the initial investment, okay, the initial investment, to always get it as soon as possible. So, example, if I put $1,000 in Bitcoin as an example, and the $1,000 now is $3,000 in unrealized, how you call it, unrealized profit, I'll take the $1,000 by selling a portion of it and a little bit of profit, so that you always be on the positive, right? Because if the other stuff disappears, it doesn't matter, because you already got your money, your initial investment, and some profit. Can you comment a little bit more on this? Because I think this is one of the things that we've seen in the space, and this is not only with stocks and crypto, that people just hold till they die, and they never make any money, and then they complain when the market goes down, blah 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 blah. They come in too high. They enter when the market is high and try to get when the market is low, and that's how people lose a lot of money. Again, lack of education and lack of planning.
Absolutely. Like, people need to realize that whatever investment you get in, whether that's real estate, gold, stocks, silver, commodities, whatever it is, you have to realize that all of these markets go through cycles. And a lot of people, that's why they focus on the cycles and they focus on the analysis, because a lot of people, when they get into the space, especially if it is a bull market, they tend to think that it's going to go on forever, and it's not. For example, we know that the stock market and crypto market have a 4-year cycle. The last two clearly have been there because the cycle restarted. So looking at 2024, 2025, that's when you're going to start seeing these assets appreciating. And this is not just us thinking that this is the way. When you look at the World Economic Forum and when you look at the International Monetary Fund, they have actually already released this data that, you know, towards the end of this year, starting 2024, you're going to see assets appreciating because, again, they all go through cycles. And just how people say, they always worry about the bubbles. It's not necessarily the bubbles that are going to pop, it's just that they're going through these cycles. And what you do in a bear market as an investor, as a creator, as a developer, normally will determine how successful you are in a bull market.
Exactly. And thinking about long term versus short term investments, right? And long term versus short term gains or losses when it comes to tax events, it's another thing. Because every time that we're talking about crypto or investments, people say, "What about taxes?" I'm like, first of all, you have to make money to pay taxes, right? And I always give this example. If you actually put an investment of $1,000, an example in a crypto, and that investment, the $1,000 becomes $1 million, then you're in the highest bracket, right? So you have to pay 40% of your, as an example, 40% of your of the crypto. Of course, there's ways to go around that legally by knowledge and again in education, right? But would you mind that your $1,000 became $1 million, an example, and you pay those taxes when you only put $1,000? I think most people would say what? No, right? They wouldn't mind, right? But again, education is where everything is the difference between you losing money, you making money, you managing your money. It's not difficult to make the money, it's difficult to keep your money and managing, right? Because Money Talks is always talking about that long term, short term. So that leads us to security. Can you explain security and the use of security wallets when it's come to storing cryptocurrencies or not using security wallets, depending on your technology savviness?
So this is something that I always tell people. So again, this industry is brand new. You're gonna see a lot of products and services emerge from them. But you have to keep the mindset of an investor at all times. You will see a lot of cold wallets coming out. Again, they're gonna keep on creating products because this is a brand new industry. These products are gonna get more and more expensive. So how many more cold wallets do you actually need? Um, are you in the position where you can afford to keep on getting wallets, or should you be considering to, as opposed to getting a wallet if you already have one, investing more into these assets as opposed to just continuing to consume anything crypto related? That's the first thing I will tell people to keep in mind. The second thing, with the products and services, we do have exchanges now that are integrating recurable C phrases. There are others that you don't even need a C phrase at all. And then lastly, because it's a brand new industry and more asset managers are coming into this space, you do have brokers like Fidelity and All for One that are actually now offering retirement options in cryptocurrency. So you really have to analyze with everything. Again, do your research, get educated on what products and services are out there and what is the best fit for you. Because something that I tell people is everyone in the space is very vocal about self custody and being your own bank. But the reality is, not everyone has the ability to be their own bank. One, because they don't have the education or the resources to pay for services if something was to, if their wallets were to get hacked. So being having self custody is a great thing. However, if someone was to hack your wallet and take everything you're worth, um, do you have the ability to pay for lawyers and fees and investigators to recover that for you? So those are things that, again, everyone has to be very mindful because not everyone realistically is in that position to be able to afford these things.
Exactly. Or there's people that we have found in the space that we've been teaching, they don't even know how to copy and paste, barely know how to use a phone. And so again, this type of people that don't know or about technology shouldn't be dealing with a wallet like that, a cold wallet. Um, Another thing that is actually for mitigating risk and connected to this is that so I had a confession to make. I sometimes we get busy, we get how you call it, lazy, mostly busy. But so I had a friend and he invited me to some multi-level thingy to make money with crypto. So why am I mentioning this? Because I lost a lot of money in that. Because I got busy, like I said, I know how to trade and all this stuff. I'm mentioning this because a lot of people prefer to let other people deal with their money, right? So I send this money to these people, and it was they basically was a Ponzi and ended up falling apart. And so now there's no recourse. No, I knew the risk that I was in, but most people didn't know the risk that they were in. So again, you have to look the positives and negatives of having crypto in an exchange, having crypto sent to somebody else, and stuff like that. This for me is connected to security and managing risk. Going to another thing, we also need to look about staying updated and following the news, because how much can you capitalize by knowing what's happening in the news, Money Talks, or investments?
These are like, you sharing this experience is like, it's good and an eye opening for people. Because you got to understand, we are in the space 24/7, and even people that are in the space 24/7 can get exposed to these schemes. Um, Again, you have to realize, I'm gonna always reiterate this: is a brand new space. There's gonna be bad actors trying to maximize, um, getting scamming people and using people that are known in this space to advertise your products and services. This is why you have to be very, very mindful with the people you engage with, the information you're putting out there, um, because at the end of the day, you have to ensure that your security, your privacy comes first above all. Like, this is something that Crypto Weekend and I talk all the time about, because as much as I love educating, there's only so much I'm willing to share, if it's going to compromise my security and my privacy. And then as far as keeping up to date, this is part of it, right? Um, Again, because it's a brand new industry, there's going to be many, many products and services. Unfortunately, because of the lack of education, most of the countries outside of the US are all related to a Ponzi scheme and to fraud and bad actors, scammers, hackers, even cybersecurity experts that pretend to be cybersecurity experts and are actually hackers,
Exactly.
will come to this space to literally take everything you have worked for.
In a
So I
second,
just
right?
think,
In a second. And
yes,
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Money Talks, because there's lots of people that got this actually was a foreign thing. Basically, the scheme was a foreign The company was in Singapore. The guy was from Malaysia, and lots of people send money. There was people sending $100,000. Um, and I'm not talking that I lost a little money, by the way. It was over $10,000 that I lost. But so anyway, I want people to know that it can happen to anybody. But if you're not, again, I knew the risk, so that's the difference. I knew the risk, and but sadly, there's a lot of people that don't know the risk when dealing with any of this stuff, and there's a lot of a lack of education in this space because again, this is so new. When it comes to investments, it's a lack of education all over the space, right? Because people don't even have basic education about managing their money or whatever anyway. So it makes people more. They make them pray, right? It's easier to just scam people that don't have the education. It's pretty easy, and it's sad and it's angering. So I told the people that I, because there was a lot of people that were in that group, to report to FBI and Interpol because this is the difficult thing about this is outside the United States. So, but then I heard that the FBI doesn't deal with what's it, Interpol. No, FBI doesn't deal with anybody losing less than $5,000. So anybody that lost less than 5K, the FBI is not going to do anything. And I don't think the FBI really or Interpol will be able to get the money back anyway. But again, this is all about staying updated, following the news. We also are going to be dealing with regulation awareness because the reason that well, I'm not saying that this is all 100% fault because there's no regulation, but it's easier to do bad things in a place where there's no regulation, right? Can you talk about regulation awareness, Money Talks?
So this is the topic that a lot of people get confused by because of all the lawsuits that have come about with crypto. It is not that there's not regulations in the crypto space, specifically in the United States. It is that they want more regulations. The fact that a lot of these exchanges are not asking you KYC, specifically in the US, is part of that regulatory process. The fact that now you have to file your taxes and, I mean, report your crypto ownership to the IRS, that's part of the regulations. So there are regulations out there. The longer you've been in the space, the less the newer regulations will apply to you because some of them have been grandfathered in and certain things are not required of the older people because they were in the space when these regulations didn't exist. But some of these regulations are now being implemented. Again, you guys gotta understand that it's not so much about, how can I phrase this? It's not so much about the security and the privacy. It's more about the purpose of crypto and what the regulators can access with these informations and the blockchains and all of that. So again, there's so many resources out there that can educate you on this so you can have a better understanding. But essentially, there will be more regulations coming about. Um, a lot of with these regulations, a lot of these cryptocurrencies will fall. I remember last year I was in a conference and they were saying that essentially cryptocurrencies is going to be like your email, right? When you email somebody or when you call somebody across the globe, you're not thinking about all the technology and all the things that are happening in the works in the background in order for that email to be sent um, globally or that phone call to be placed globally. Um, the difference between the people that are in the community right now is that we know a lot of that background technology that is going on. But in the future, you're going to use crypto, you're going to be sending these funds, you're going to be owning this real estate in a tokenized form. And you're not going to think about all the technology that is happening behind in order for these things to be possible. So that's one thing. The other thing is that um, with these regulations, not all of these cryptocurrencies will survive. They're giving it maybe the top 10, the top 100, or the top 50 to survive. Because a lot of these projects, again, are scam related or just people trying to make a quick buck out of the industry. So these are all things for you to be mindful and keep updated with.
Exactly, exactly. Um, so when you're dealing with investments and you're dealing with money, it's very emotional, right? When people lose money or people deal with money, and it's just so you have to be careful on avoiding emotional attachments to what you're doing with your money, because that can lead to error and more loss, right? So staying calm where in a market that is volatile, right? You can have $1,000 investment go to $500 in less than a week, as an example, depending on the coin that you buy. So avoiding making impulsive decisions based on market fluctuations is ultra important. So, and I will lead emotional to greediness too, because and impatience, because if you're impatient, most of the time you're going to lose money. You don't pay attention to what you're doing in the space. Like, like I said, one time I was just um, between sleeping and awake, and I lost $1,000 in a second. So, of course, I didn't freak out. Again, emotionally, I'm like, oh, I'll make it later. So it's just a very important place to have a sense of control in your emotions. Um, would you like to say a little bit something more about that, Money Talks?
Absolutely. It's like, again, you have to, and this is something that I do for myself. You have to write down what are you trying to accomplish, what is your vision, and understanding, all while understanding that all of these markets, the housing market, the commodities market, the stock market, they all go through cycles. Understanding those cycles, um, and when everybody's running away from these markets, whatever market it is, whether it's real estate, housing market, when everything is crashing, that's when millionaires are made, because you're buying these assets at ridiculously low prices that you wouldn't be able to buy in a bull market. So they always say when people are when there's blood in the streets, that's when you buy. I always tell people too, you never buy in the green, you buy in the red. So even if I want an asset, and for example, like whenever I have extra income in that I wasn't expecting, I well, if I want to buy an asset, I just put it to the side if the asset is green and just wait for those red moments, those dips to go ahead and accumulate those assets. Another thing is that people don't realize with the stock market and with cryptocurrencies, you can also set a limit buy. A lot of people talk about dollar cost averaging. I honestly prefer limit buys because you're indicating how much you're
Mm-hmm.
willing to pay for these assets. And once the market drops and those assets reach that price that you indicated, these orders will automatically go in. Again, it works the same for the stock market and the crypto market. Same thing with selling. You can tell these exchanges and brokers, hey, if this asset reaches X price, sell it for me. Um, and it
Mm-hmm.
avoids you having to monitor these platforms 24/7 because now it's automatically being done by AI in the background. So these are a lot of new things that a lot of these exchanges and markets are implementing to make it easier on the investors. Um, and again, it's a matter of you getting educated, knowing who to go to if you don't um, know the information, and finding the resources out there. There's so many resources out there. There's so many free things that you can also access. And of course, there's also consultants and advisors and educators that host classes, host trainings, etc.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, it's important and everything. So Is there anybody here that has any questions? We're gonna take some questions right now, and there's nothing that is.
Yeah,
You guys
no,
do consulting or mentorship or study groups? Because it really sounds like every time you guys do an event, I'm always wanting to kind of get really granular with you guys. Where do you teach and how do you educate others? I do feel like you guys do some mentorship, but maybe tell the bigger community that's watching how they can get in touch with you guys.
Yeah, we're mostly in TikTok. And so we got our page cryptoequalizers.io, where we actually focus on masterminds, and hopefully we will have a mastermind next year in the spring. And we both do consults, so if you can find us with the same name, Scripto Rican Queen, and Money Talks and TikTok, and then we have a link there that has all our information and services.
I have a question. The market has been, for Bitcoin, for example, and some of the other cryptos have been so volatile. And you were just mentioning Money Talks about AI coming in and helping to sell when things get really bad. But I know in the stock market, there are auto sell orders. You can put a limit on how far a stock drops, then it automatically sells, or uh, how fast market moves up, you could automatically buy or sell, whichever. But are there any automatic stops in the market for Bitcoin or other crypto?
Absolutely. So this is exactly what I was referring to. You can do this with a lot of the exchanges. So some of them have a bot portion of it. Mari can talk to you more about that. She's like the bot expert. But they also have the ability for you to place sell orders and limit orders, just how you do it in the stock market. So let's say you think Bitcoin is going to go down to 25K. You can tell it, if Bitcoin goes to 25K, buy me X dollars worth. If you think Bitcoin is going to go to $100,000 and you own a lot of Bitcoin, you can say, when Bitcoin hits $100,000, sell, X percentage of my Bitcoin, or sell all of my Bitcoin. So these are features that a lot of people don't know that are out there, but Coinbase has them, KuCoin has them. Um, Most of the exchanges do have this feature. It's just, again, a lot of people are not really tech savvy, so they don't know that they are within these platforms, but they do exist.
Exactly. And I mean, I used a lot of these features a lot. And so there's, I use, you mentioned automated. So that's where the bots, you can actually use bots to buy the dip or trade. So this is light trading when you're buying something and, buying something low and selling it high is tax events when you're selling anything anytime you sell is a tax event. But just to be clear in that sense, for people to know. But don't, I tell people, don't worry about the taxes, because people always thinking about taxes, because your losses offset your gains too. So I use bots to buy the dip. I use bots to, I have this other kinds of orders, stop loss, take profit. There's a lot of different ways to make money and not lose money. And this is all risk management, tools. I also do bot trading classes in Zoom for groups and stuff. Because a lot of people want to learn how to trade, but the trading that mostly everybody does is, which is so there's two types of trading: is spot trading and then futures. Spot trading is when you're buying the asset, you're buying really Bitcoin. Compared to when you buy Bitcoin in Fidelity, you're not buying the asset. You're buying kind of like can we say paper of it, Money Talks? What would you call that? I guess it's not physically. You're not buying the asset of Bitcoin when you have it on Fidelity.
So you technically have ownership, but you're not the custodian. Fidelity is the custodian. So it's the same way, and this is something that I always tell people. The way the industry is moving with these products and services emerging, eventually is going to be the same as the stock market, where you buy an asset, but it's being, the custodian is that broker. It's the same thing that is happening with cryptocurrencies as these retirement plans and 401ks, service products and services are being created.
Any other questions? Anything else that anybody?
Just one more related to that. Volatility is so big in the crypto market compared to the stock market, at least recently. Does that cause any psychological problems for people who are trying to invest in the market? It's one thing when you look at the stock market and it goes down 2% in a day. That's seen as a big correction. But with some of the cryptos, if you watch, they go down. Some could go down 15% or up 15% in a
Mhm.
day. That's kind of head spinning. What's the from your dealing with people who are in the market? How does that affect them psychologically?
So I will say that most people that are they're holding investments, they have portfolios that are long term, so they don't get as freaked out, because it's like if you buy example an altcoin, at least they want to hold for a year so they can pay a long term capital gains instead of short term. So it is the traders, new traders, or people that are trying to make quick money that will freak out. But this is not bad, because volatility is the reason why we make money. This ups and downs question. A dollar doesn't really go up. A dollar goes down. Most people don't know this, but dollar is actually inflation eats into our dollar. So the dollar is cost less than a dollar. I don't even know exactly. Money Dog, so you know exactly how much is the dollar really cost when you deal with inflation?
I think it has gone down a lot lately now with but I don't know the exact number. I think last time it was about 75 cents or something, but I think it has gone down more, because all the products and services have gone down so much more. So what you're actually buying, that dollar amount, is not covering as much as it did prior to the 70s, right, when it was backed by gold. So there was actually a lot of information about this in social media this week, saying how prior to the Great Depression, right? Um, they would only make, I think it was $40,000 to afford everything, we we can afford now, like having a house, a car, etc. But now, in order to survive and have the same lifestyle, you will have to make at least $88,000, and that's not counting all the taxes that we have now that they didn't have back in the days. So it would be like 2 to 3 times as much, of that $88,000, just to live the same comfort lifestyle they did, then, compared to now, because of the inflation and the decrease decreasing value of the dollar.
Exactly, and that's more worrisome to me, the dollar losing value, than a crypto going up. But again, it depends if you're doing long term or short term investments with crypto. eh, what people deal with emotions. Most long term investors are not going to worry about that they lost 30%. But remember, there's a thing. This is a thing that I also explain a lot. There's a difference between unrealized and realized gains or losses. So you might have $1,000 portfolio, and that $1,000 portfolio might go to $1. But if you don't sell, you really didn't lose anything. It is when you exit, when you realize that loss or that gain. So if people understand that, they will not be scared. Does that make sense, Mike?
Sorry, I went into mute. Yes, it does. It makes sense. Inflation really is something that most people don't take consideration of, and it does erode the value buying value of the dollar, even though the dollar is still a dollar. You can purchase less with that dollar once inflation starts. That's why I think the Fed is acting so strongly to raise interest rates and avoid that kind of superinflation that places like Venezuela, Argentina, some other countries have experienced.
Absolutely. And this is something too that people don't realize. And it has been brought up a lot. I love watching Bloomberg because it covers the global economy. Um, since the market crash, since the bank crash in March, the bank crisis, Bitcoin has held up pretty good. And what people don't realize is that the prices that we're seeing now, um, it's more, they say it's more elevated to what it realistically is worth compared to when you have a bull market because you have all those people saturating the market and you have that influx of liquidity and so much more investors coming in just for that bull market. So this around like the prices that we're seeing now, it's more what is really valued at. But with that also, you got to understand, and this is why I always tell people, I actually dived into the study of currencies and currencies, including fiat currencies. Um, they typically change about every 30, 35 years. So if you think about in your lifetime, like how many different versions of the dollar have you seen? And historically, there have been so many economies that their currencies have already crashed and gone to zero. And people don't realize that. And they also say, oh, there's shit coins, etc. But there's actually shit fiat out there. There are fiat currencies today that are worth the same amount as Shiba Inu, and that would be the Venezuelan bolivar. I think Shiba Inu right now is worth more than that. When you try to swap one Venezuelan bolivar for a US dollar, you're gonna get same thing you would for Shiba, 0.000 X amount of, whatever number comes behind it. Um, and with that also, people don't realize, yes, the US dollar is the global reserve currency right now, but there's actually seven other currencies that are worth more than the US dollar, with the Kuwait dinar being worth three times more than the dollar. And I feel that, again, a lot of this information is not known because of the lack of education when it comes to currencies. But when you look at cryptocurrencies, you have more than 40 plus currencies that are worth more than the US dollar. Bitcoin being worth 27,000 times more than the US dollar. So I really think people need to dive into the history of currencies, into the evolution of things. And with this, it's like we are literally seeing the making of the financial global system, you know, going through its evolution. And it's one that is much needed because it's insane that being in 2023, 21st century, you can call somebody globally, you can email somebody globally, but you cannot send money globally aside from cryptocurrency. And essentially, that's the whole one of the purposes of cryptocurrency. And of course, having the ability to introduce people to these type of systems that never had a bank. I mean, I know people in the Caribbean that still don't have a bank. They never had a debit card. They never had a credit card. And this is 2023.
Exactly. And actually, I met a lot of people in El Salvador that don't have even a phone. They don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have a phone. They use cash. So again, what we think and consider here that is normal for us is not everybody's context around the world. And I think that's another thing that we have to always remember. So any other questions, guys?
I will
Let's
say
just
I
some of the
hope
next
that you guys We'll consider allowing us to host your mastermind coming up in the spring. The one that you did last year was really phenomenal, and I thought very thoughtful and very helpful to the community. So we'd love to be a support mechanism for you there.
Thank you so much. It will be great. Great to have it 100% in the metaverse, right? Money Talks.
Absolutely. I mean, again, this having this experience is part of the education and providing that to the audience, because it's mind blowing that, again, we are here live in the metaverse from Third Academy, which again is a platform that is dedicated to introduce you guys to the metaverse and educate. And again, how many people right now globally out of the 8 billion that we have actually know about the metaverse and have been exposed to the metaverse? So these are things that, is part of my vision to keep expanding these technologies and spread this education to as many people as possible, because it'll ultimately change their future. And it's all about creating a better future for yourself and your family, and having the ability to maintain all of that hard work that you have put in throughout your life, maintain it and be able to manage it to create a better life for you and generations to come, right?
Exactly. And that's why we tell everybody goodbye and thank you for embarking on this accelerating crypto adventure with us, Crypto Rican Queen Anne.
Money Talks.
And as we conclude our journey, remember that the crypto world never sleeps and opportunities are always on the horizon. We hope you gain valuable insights, inspiration, and the confidence to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of digital investments. Whether you're a hodler, a day trader, or a blockchain enthusiast, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly,